I'd like to welcome everybody here today for today's program that's co-sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Fremont-Newark-Union City and the AAUW, American Association of University Women, Fremont Branch. My name is Andrea Schachter, and I am the Vice President of Programs for the League. And
Hi, my name is Fee Dye, and I represent the American Association of University Women. Happy to be here.
Okay. And we're very pleased today that we have Stacy Cross, who is our guest speaker today. Before we begin, I'd like to ask you please to silence your devices. Oh, I see everybody doing that. Very good. Okay. And also be aware that the restrooms are out the back door and to the right, just a little way down the hall to the right. I want to also say that we offer a huge thank you to the Niles Discovery Church for providing us this extraordinary space for our community meetings. And we've been doing these since January of 2024. So it's been just a little more than a year that we've been in partnership with this really wonderful facility. Now, I just want to say a couple of words. Fee and I want to say a few words about our organizations. The League of Women Voters is a national organization that's been around for more than 100 years. It was formed when courageous women fought for and won the right to vote with the passage of the 19th Amendment to the Constitution in 1920. And our league here in Fremont-Newark-Union City has been around for more than 50 years. Our mission is to encourage the active participation of citizens in their government, and we work to increase understanding of major public policy issues. While the League is nonpartisan, meaning that we never endorse or support particular candidates or political parties, we are political in that we take positions on many issues after careful study. And I also want to say that membership is open to all citizens, including men. We call ourselves the League of Women Voters, but men are part of the League. We have a number of male members right here in the audience today. Okay.
Good morning. I am so happy to be here today because this program is a collaboration of three iconic women's organizations. My name is Fee, and I represent the American Women of University Women. We are the country's oldest women's organization, founded in 1881. 143 years ago, a group of forward-thinking, college-educated women decided to form AUW because they believe education is the quickest way to achieve social equity, and it still is today. Today, AAW is the largest non-university funder of graduate scholarships for women, and our mission is to advance gender equity and social equity through education, research, and advocacy. 39 years later, when the League was formed in 1920 as the great political experiment, they empowered women to use their education and their rights to participate in the lawmaking of this nation to shape our democracy. So AUW and the League actually paved the way for Planned Parenthood to secure and safeguard reproductive freedom for all Americans. So together, three social icons, AUW, the League, and Planned Parenthood, are shaping this nation's reproductive health policies. So on behalf of my board, I would like to thank Andrea and Stacy for giving us the opportunity to participate and collaborate in this very important and powerful presentation. Thank you. Thank you.
It's my pleasure to introduce Stacy to all of you. Since 2017, Stacy has been CEO of Planned Parenthood Mar-Monte, the largest Planned Parenthood affiliate in the county with 34 health centers throughout half the counties in California and the only abortion provider in northern Nevada. Under her leadership, Planned Parenthood Mar-Monte provides over 300,000 total patient visits with revenues of $145 million. With Planned Parenthood Mar-Monte's extensive education, research, and advocacy programs, they reached over 323,000 unique individuals. She also serves as the CEO of Planned Parenthood Advocates Mar-Monte. Stacy has a very personal commitment to Planned Parenthood's mission of ensuring reproductive rights and access to health care for all, because both of her grandmothers died far too young. One was only 19 because they did not have access to effective birth control or safe preventative health care. She has served on many national committees for Planned Parenthood Federation of America and within California and Nevada. She holds an MBA from the University of Montana and a Bachelor of Science in Allied Health Services from the University of North Florida. She's the mother of 5 adult children and an avid marathon runner. Running away from her 5 children, no. Stacy is leading Planned Parenthood Mar-Monte at a critical time in the organization's history, protecting healthcare access for communities and patients, many of whom live at or below the federal poverty level, even as those rights and services are under constant attack in the current political climate. We welcome Stacy. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for that nice introduction. I've been a Planned Parenthood CEO for 24 years. This is Mar-Monte. I've been here 7.5 years, and Mar-Monte is the largest Planned Parenthood in the entire country. Not because of our geographic size, although we do serve a very big geography with half the counties of California and now all of Nevada. It's because of the number of patients that we're able to see through our services in our, right now, 34 health centers, soon to be 35 with a new health center that I'm going to talk about it in a minute. But I am speaking from a very hard place right now. We are only 6 weeks into this current administration. And actually, as I was driving here, one of the things that I'm going to talk about popped up this morning of something that they're going to go after reproductive health care, which is called Comstock, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, will probably become a reality within the next couple of weeks. I don't think it's hyperbole to say that the world is in a very dark place and our country is in a very dark place. Yesterday was phenomenally disturbing, but every day has been phenomenally disturbing. And I really thought that I'd be coming here because when Gwen, who is my immediate past board chair, asked me to do this a long time ago, I thought I'd come here and talk about all the things that we were moving forward, the things that we were doing proactively, and what we could all do collectively together. But these elections really have been a portrayal of our values. It's not just about reproductive health care. It's really everything I believe in. I have 5 children. I have lots of aunties. They're like, do you know how that happened? I'm like, actually do know how that happened. So they don't need to worry about, I offer education if they want to know. But like just the attacks on the people we serve are horrific, and our staff are very worried. We know that we're going to see more attacks as this unfolds. But I'm going to just talk about some things that are happening, some things that we know that have happened, and what Planned Parenthood Mar-Monte, and really all the Planned Parenthoods are. Planned Parenthood is a federated organization, and so there are 49 affiliates that cover the entire country, and what we're all doing to try to make sure our patients are protected and our doors continue to be open. This administration is really attacking, as I said, not only the people we love and care, but it's a particular attack on the people that we serve. We serve a tremendous amount of undocumented folks. I just want to let you know that we do not track that, so there's no way if somehow they got access to our records, there's no way we have made sure that our records do not have any of that information in there. Because of I'll just talk about undocumented folks, the Friday before the inauguration, we closed all of our health centers and did training in case ICE gets into our health centers. Even though they're not supposed to go to schools and hospitals and health centers, or places of worship, we know that's a possibility because they are not following the rules. So we had all of our staff go through training. All of our health centers are considered sanctuary sites, and we've had to make our waiting rooms private so that, because if it's an open space, they can come in. But I have young staff at our front desks, and ICE are cowboys, and they're going to walk in with vests and guns and stuff. And so we want to make sure that they knew who to call and what to do to protect our patients that may happen to be there. But we're already seeing a chilling effect with this because folks aren't coming. Particularly in the Central Valley, we've had a drop. And what happened last administration, and I did a talk on Wednesday this week, and they're like, I hope you're going to share some positive news. I have some things, but we're in a pretty dark place. But during the last Trump administration, because of the attacks on undocumented and immigrants, we saw a lot of folks that had been had sexual assault, rape and sexual assault and domestic violence in their homes, and they did not come to get care. They are too afraid to come and get care and treatment, and certainly too afraid to report anything like that right now. So it is a tough time, and I'm going to read a lot of this because it's a really rich presentation, but I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. We also know that not only are undocumented, women are certainly under attack. We provide gender affirming care at all 34 health centers. What is happening with that is tragic. We know that ethnic minorities and the people that are coming and LGBTQ plus folks are super under attack, and we are here to protect all of our patients, and we are going to fight like hell to keep our doors open. So a couple of weeks ago, we had an event in Oakland, and we had Latifah Simon give a presentation. And boy, if you've not seen her give a presentation, like I was waiting for hallelujah and amen at the end. It was fantastic. But she said, no one is coming to save us. We have to do this ourselves. So for those, I always give homework at the end of my speeches. And for those of you that have been sitting back, not watching the news, doing some maybe, nonsense like TV. I watched an excessive amount of Hallmark Christmas Channel because you can start out dead and end up happily married and have a fantastic job no matter what happens. And I am good with that. But now it's time to it is serious. We are 6 weeks in, and it is really horrible. So we are the answer. We are the folks, and you are the ones that help get champions elected that are going to protect America and the world, really. That's where we're at. So we're going to talk about the impacts that this administration has. I actually spoke to a league, and they said, can you not talk about Trump? I'm like, are you kidding me? So sorry, I am going to do that. But I really want you to leave with knowing more about what's happening, particularly about reproductive health care, and also know what you can do and be outraged. If you're not outraged, I want you to leave here being outraged, but also very activated in what you can do. Can you go to the next slide? We had little challenges with this. So first I want to talk about what Planned Parenthood Fremont-Newark-Union does. As I said, we're a part of a larger federation, but we have health centers, currently 34 health centers. I'm going to talk about the rest of Nevada in a minute in our expansion, but we cover a very big service area. So you can see this is where currently all of our health centers are located. And on April 1st, we're opening a brand new health center in Las Vegas, which has a critical need for healthcare. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute, taking over the rest of Nevada. Can you go to the next slide, please? So one of the things that many folks don't know is the range of services that we provide. There's always this misconception that we only provide abortions, and I know you know that that's not true. But prior to Dobbs getting overturned, even as the largest affiliate in the country, our numbers for abortion services were about 3%. Right now, we're about 12% because 20 states have bans in them. We're seeing patients from 39 states last year, and that number is significantly growing. But we have sexual reproductive health care at every one of our health centers. We do testing and treatment for STIs. There's an epidemic right now of syphilis, so that's a little tool that you can remember. Make sure people are using condoms no matter what age you are. It's important to have protected sex because untreated syphilis can cause a fetus to have major defects, including death from untreated syphilis prior to birth, so it's really important. We also do behavioral health, gender affirming care, all types of infertility treatment because we want to make sure if you want to be a parent, we're helping set you up to be a parent in the best possible way. And we also just recently restarted prenatal care at one of our sites, which has been really important. We have 10 sites that provide full primary care. And my medical director calls it 0 to 100, so newborns to whatever age you are that can walk in the door. And these sites have been around for a long time, so people don't even know they're really coming to a Planned Parenthood. And it was one of the things that really drew me here, because in our back in our exam rooms, we have somebody getting a prostate exam, somebody getting their diabetes checked, somebody having a newborn check, and somebody having an abortion. It really destigmatizes reproductive health care because health care and abortion is health care. So if we can go to the next slide. Now this is kind of what's at stake, and I don't want you to forget what happened. He was here before, and what happened, what he did before. And this is just a partial list of the attacks, and I'm happy to share these slides with you. The attacks on reproductive rights. He's, robbed people with having really setting up the court so that Roe v. Wade got overturned. He denied Title X. So what he did with everybody that provides Title X across the country, and Title X is the longest running family planning program in the nation, was actually started by President Nixon, a Republican, because he understood the connection between communities and the health of a woman and her families and accessing resources. So Title X helps with sexual reproductive health, birth control, annual exams, and everybody that was a Title X provider, and they've already done it. He's done a global gag rule, but he did a domestic gag rule that if you are a provider of Title X, you can't talk about, refer, or ever mention the word abortion. So many, all Planned Parenthoods had to walk away from providing Title X. For us in California, it's not as significant, but I was a CEO in Montana for 13 years, and in Portland, Oregon, and Montana, that was 50% of our budget, so it made a huge cut to those. And so, as you can see, a lot of these things have already happened. Things that he has done again this time is if he has banned transgendered folks from serving in the military. He has erased trans and queer people from federal websites. In fact, the CDC, when they were having to take their website down and going dark, I had staff taking screenshots, so we had some of the standards available for the information that they provide. And you know that they're doing both the WHO and CDC, people that have been fired are putting stuff on a YouTube site so people know what's happening with outbreaks around our country. So you can go to the next slide. So in the last 6 weeks, and these are, you can see them. In the last 6 weeks, you can see he's already taken down the reproductive rights gov. It was a federal site that President Biden put in so people had information on abortion and where to get reproductive health care. That has gone dark. In his first week, Not only did he pardon all the January 6 folks, but he pardoned 23 people that had been arrested and were in prison for blockading or causing violence at abortion sites across the nation. One of them severely injured a reproductive health worker, and that individual is, when he got out in North Carolina, first, he went and bought a gun because he could still buy a gun, showed up at one of my friend's health centers in North Carolina that said, "I'm back and I have a gun." So you can only imagine the chilling effect this is having on healthcare workers. They have also blocked the use of FACE, which is a federal law that says you can't blockade or prevent people from accessing health centers, and it's only to be used in very extreme cases. So it's really curtailed any prosecution from anybody that goes after protests or tries to invade a healthcare clinic that provides reproductive health. Let's see. He also signed an executive order stating there are two sexes which really impact our gender affirming care patients across the United States. And this has been really deeply concerning. He's also, they're trying to insert in every policy that life begins at conception or fetal personhood. If you remember, before he got in, when the Alabama courts were trying to ban IVF because they were saying embryos were children, and if you provided IVF and you got rid of a fertilized egg, that was murder, so that would ban IVF. It would also ban birth control and a whole variety of other things, and they're trying to insert this in a variety of policies, giving privileges to the fetus really over what they have actually referred to as vessels, or what we call the woman carrying the pregnancy or the pregnant person. One of the most significant actions happened recently when he got rid of all the federal funding, when he, USAID, because that was the largest. The United States provided 40% of all the humanitarian aid, which is tracked by the United Nations. And in 2024, that was $575 million. In addition, the UN put in $32.5 million. And what this did is it helped. And this was really supported in a bipartisan way for generations upon generations. It impacts about 50 million couples across the world that will no longer have access to contraception, which has saved about 18 million people from unintended pregnancies, and estimates it saved the lives of about 50,000 women and girls from having an unplanned pregnancy or complications from pregnancy, because we know that family planning is really life-saving intervention. You can go to the next slide. So these are the things that he is already talking about and doing, and we know that it is horrific what is happening with these. So I'm not going to go through all of them. These are all the things in Project 2025. Can you go to the next slide, please? Okay. Comstock. Some of you may have heard of Comstock, but Comstock got enacted by a postmaster general named Comstock about 150 years ago. And this was used for anti-vice, and it banned and criminalized different things from being sent in the mail. At that time, it was information, even written information about pregnancy and how to prevent pregnancy, anything containing abortion. And also it's been used for, more recently, it hasn't been used for any of those things in generations upon generations, but it has been used for child sex porn. So when somebody gets arrested for that, they get charged with Comstock. It's a criminal charge. In the aftermath of the Supreme Court ruling about Dobbs, when Roe got overturned, they started teasing this, that they would use Comstock to ban abortion. And the Solicitor General in Texas, which many awful things come out of, said that we don't need a federal ban, we just need Comstock on the books, because they can use that to ban abortion. And essentially what they're trying to do is medication abortion. There's two forms of abortion. There's medication abortions and there's procedural. And medication abortion can be used up to 11 weeks. And it is two medications, Miffy and misoprostol. And it's trying to ban the mailing of any of these medications, the mailing to a patient, the mailing to us, and they're also including any equipment connected with abortion. But what they understand, but do not care, that this really threats pregnant women's lives, because the equipment and medication used in a medication abortion are what we use for miscarriage management. So this means hospitals, clinics, reproductive health facilities like ourselves will no longer have access to these medications and also equipment. So it could include things like drapes, stirrups, anything that they will say you can't mail. And we use it for miscarriage management, and for medication abortion, the first drug helps end the pregnancy, and the second drug is what they really use for miscarriage management, but they're both used for miscarriage management and medication abortion. So because we knew this was coming, as long as we have it in our state, a couple of weeks ago, we ordered so we would have a year's stockpile of medication abortion, the two medications, and all the medical equipment connected to it. So we have a stockpile of that in California. When we talked to the manufacturer, they said, well, we can hold it here in Massachusetts. I said, no, that's not going to help. So now we have a stockpile here. We can drive it ourselves. So I have staff that will drive it to our different sites and also drive it to our sites in Nevada if that's what we need. But we have a whole year's supply in case this gets enacted. And as I said, this doesn't just hit us, Planned Parenthood. This hits every hospital, every site that also provides miscarriage management. It's very tragic. And one of the things that, I don't know how many of you, maybe some of you in this room, read Project 2025. Anybody read the whole thing? Yeah. So also in this, it's not just banning medication abortion, it's also banning other things that they don't find acceptable. So it could be banning any drugs for gender affirming care that you would have to have in stock in your sites, and also anything that prevents HIV. And so there's you don't hear a lot about HIV because we've really eradicated it in the United States. It's also tragic what's happening across the world because of the federal dollars now, because all that medication has already been banned through USAID administered it. But there's a medication, I'll just give you an example, called PrEP. And PrEP is taken by folks that may be at risk for being in a relationship that they could contract HIV. It completely prevents that from happening. It's phenomenally effective, but they could ban that. So I said, and it's very expensive. So we have patients that don't have insurance, what we do right now is we give them a code from the company that makes it, Gilead, and they get a discount at the pharmacy for it. Because that was paid through federal funds, they're no longer giving that discount. So I said to my medical director, how much would it take for us to be able to dispense at no cost for just the people we serve that we outsource and script out for PrEP? And it would be $14 million. And so we can't do that. So I'm trying to get into Gilead to have a friendly conversation with them. But it's tragic. And you can go to the next slide. Next. Okay, I've talked about fetal personhood, and this is where they can say life begins at conception, and that a preborn person has rights over the pregnant person. This is very concerning, and it's something that they're working on, as I said, slipping into everything. And I just want to use an example of this. Actually, I'll talk about it at the next slide. You want to go to the next slide, please? So this is Emtella. This has been in the news. It was a Supreme Court case this year. It's the Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act, which mandates that any hospital that receives federal funding, that if a person hits their emergency room, and that's in labor, they're supposed to save the life of the pregnant person and the baby or fetus if they can, but they're required to do that. And the reason this went in the news is because it's been around since I think 1986, is because I'll use the example of Idaho. Idaho butts up against our service area in northern Nevada. Idaho has probably the worst laws on the books for reproductive health care and abortion. And so the providers in Idaho were like, okay, we have this abortion ban that I can't help save the life of women, but I also have Entella that requires me as a physician in this hospital that gets federal funding to provide care. So Idaho, they did have a case. The Supreme Court kind of passed it along for another ruling to occur. But what is happening in Idaho as a result of things like this is that, so if you're, 90% of the OBGYNs in Idaho have already left the state. So rural hospitals are going to have to close their labor and delivery. Once, I've worked in rural healthcare for a long time. Once you close your rural hospital, the school closes, the town closes. Has such an impact on hospitals. But if they go against the hospital ethics board, that they have to get approval to save a woman's life, then they can end up with 5 years in prison and a $50,000 fine. And many of these OBGYNs they can't risk their livelihood, they can't risk their life. And I just want to explain what I mean by that. It's not just if somebody has had an abortion and they've come in to try to get something. It's pregnancies that are absolutely not viable. And I want to use an example of this because many of you, I know we have a lot of men, you may not know what this is, but an ectopic pregnancy is never viable. It's a pregnancy that's in the tube, never, ever going to be viable. They have to wait until that patient is sepsis, sick enough to die, before they're allowed to go in and save this. And I have an example of this. My sister is a vascular surgeon in Tennessee. She's in the process of retiring, so she's been doing some ER work. Last spring, because they have a ban, she was working her ER, and she had a 26-year-old woman come in, ectopic pregnancy. She had to wait until she was sick enough to be able to go in and do this surgery. And this young woman, it was a very wanted pregnancy, is now going to be on dialysis for the rest of her life and never able to have a child after this. And this is all done for, protecting women. It's horrific, and we're going to see more and more horrible things. We've already seen women die all over the country, and those are the ones that get reported. Please know that there are more that don't get reported because everybody that works in a hospital is gagged to protect their hospital. So people, in order to get those stories out, they have to be stories that are told really by families and other folks. So let's go to the next slide. Next slide. Sorry. Okay, I just want to talk about kind of the chilling effect of what's happening with this, because even in states like California, which is a safe reproductive state, and Nevada, which is a safe state, in 2022, we passed a law, here it was Prop 1, to protect reproductive health care and birth control and IVF and abortion in our state constitution. And in Nevada, it is a safe state, but we're trying to protect it even more by changing the Constitution. It's a ballot initiative. The way Nevada works is you have to vote it out of the legislature twice, and then you have to have it on the ballot twice. And we have to vote on it again in 2026. But even if that passes, it will not protect us if we do a federal ban. So like my providers they're worried every day. There's a chilling effect to even safe states, what they could do. So we just know that even if we're living in a safe state, it's not fully safe. And when I said patients come from 39 states, what I mean by that, right now there are 20 states that have bans. Some are worse than others. Some don't even allow for, essentially the life of the mother after you've had to wait this huge period. But the reason we have that is places like, I'll give an example because I'm going to talk about this. In Nevada, we shared that state with an affiliate called Rocky Mountain, who covered the Vegas area of Nevada. They covered, I talk with my hands, sorry, and they cover New Mexico, Colorado, and Wyoming. And they get the brunt of the patients coming in from Texas for abortion and other, in order to be able to save their life. Remember, these are people that have many of them never left their hometown, and now they're getting in a car and driving for basic health care. So they have been so overwhelmed because Marmonte really, as the largest affiliate, we had the ability and the luxury, and I'm very much a planner, as Gwen will tell you, that we planned for patients to come to every one of our health centers, and we expanded the scope of every one of our licensed staff to be able to care for those patients. They are overwhelmed with patients coming from Texas. So we see not only patients coming from Texas, but we see patients coming from Colorado and New Mexico and Wyoming and Montana. It's a huge map, even from the East Coast, places like Florida, even though they just tried to pass something, it had to be, I think it had to be 60%, which was insane. So it is a very troubling time, and our providers, I just had one that was going to Texas to visit her grandchildren, and she said, should I be worried? And I said, I would make sure you wear nothing that has you, and we're having all of them really darken their Facebook so somebody can't track them in any possible way. When a patient does come here from another state, if they happen to make a phone call and set up an appointment, and some people don't, they just get in the car, drive here, show up, and need care. We tell them to and walk it through how to turn all your GPS off on your phone so you're not tracked, because they are trying to geo-track around our health centers to see where patients are coming from. So next slide. So we have done a lot of planning to get ready for this. We were prepared for what happened I know a lot of folks were like, Roe's not going to get overturned. We definitely knew it was going to get overturned the morning of Trump's first election. I knew that was going to happen. And I was sure of it. So we've been preparing for that. And remember that 80% of the people across the United States support access to safe and legal abortions. But these extremists are really pushing their values on us. I'm really honored to be leading Planned Parenthood Marmonte during this time, and we have worked over and over and over again to get prepared for everything. We went through Project 2025 with a fine-tooth comb and tried to have a scenario plan for everything that could happen. Like, that's why we provided this training for our staff if in case ICE invaded. We also, there was so many bad things come out of Texas. I'm sorry if you're from Texas. But in September of 2021, the real start of bans were a bill called SB 8, and this was a ban in Texas. It was a 6-week abortion ban, but it also had a bounty hunter thing connected with it. Many of you remember that. And I really started worrying about what could happen with that. And then they had a case hit in Texas. It's a False Claims Act. And it was right almost at the same time in September of 28. And it was saying the 3 affiliates in Texas and our national office should not have allowed the providers at Planned Parenthood to be providing Medicaid for their patients. And I want to explain this. When they talk about like defunding Planned Parenthood, what that means is they want to take us out of the Medicaid program. We, like every other healthcare provider, get reimbursed for the care that we provide. And in Texas, the Attorney General and the governor kept trying to take them out and say they couldn't do it. Then they would win in court, and then they stopped providing Medicaid, and then they started providing again. So there is a regulator that started this case out of El Paso, Texas, where Judge Matthew Kaczmarek, who has done a lot of really horrific things, they started pushing this case. And when this case started, when you have a False Claims Act, they have done nothing wrong. When it started, they had gotten reimbursed, these 3 affiliates, about $17 million, which is really small over a 5-year period for healthcare. That's how little they did it. But because it hasn't been settled, it has been compounding each month. It's going to go to court this summer, probably in August, and it's now worth over $2 billion. And we know that this is an unwinnable case in the court that it's at, and we know if it goes to the Supreme Court, it will essentially probably take all Medicaid funding away from everybody that provides sexual reproductive health. So when we knew this in September of 2021, we had our first board meeting after that in December of 2021. I said, we have to start something, we were thinking a foundation that will protect our assets and protect any new money. So we launched, it just happened. It took a long time to get through. And I had a lot of folks across Planned Parenthood that says, this seems really, you're really going into conspiracy theories. And now I get calls every day about how we did this. So we started the Charitable Trust for Sexual Reproductive Health, all new money, because we've also launched a comprehensive campaign to help support us when we lose federal funding, to help support and create sustainability. So it's a way to do an iron curtain and in between Planned Parenthood Vermonte and this charitable trust. And so new resources are going in there. So we have a strategic plan that we are remodeling and building new health centers all across our service area. When I got here 7.5 years ago, we had not done a lot of love and care for our health centers. And so we have been remodeling, moving, using technology, or adding new health centers. And I just want to talk about 2 of them. First, I'm going to get a drink, sorry. In Reno, we only had 1 health center when I got here. In Nevada, it was in Reno. It was a 2-exam room health center, which is not a lot of care can get provided there. We looked for a long time, and we opened in 2023. We were prior to the opening of this brand new health center that really expands our care. And then the only other abortion provider also closed in Nevada, so it was very timely. And we went from seeing 5,000 patients a year, and we're probably going to end up seeing about 14,000 patient visits a year with this expanded access. As we remodel and improve the flow for our staff, where we can see more patients. And I'm very proud of this. And as we look for new health centers now, we think about things that we didn't do 20 years ago when I was building health centers. Is it close to an airport? Is there access to transportation for a patient to get there? So we had another health center in Oakland, but you couldn't get there with transportation. So in December of this year, we opened the largest health center for all of Planned Parenthood nationwide in Oakland, and underneath the building, BART is there. So a patient can fly into San Francisco, they can fly into Oakland, or they can be in the Oakland area and literally walk up the stairs and walk in our door. And it's doing 2 things. It's not only the largest center, and we're providing procedural abortion, and all array of services that we provide, including gender affirming care, because I know we're going to start seeing people come from out of state for that. It also it's a training site. So one of the things, I'm a very big on standardization, and it allows all of our staff to come get trained in these 2 exam rooms that are training exam rooms, the same way, the same how. And so if I have a float provider that goes from point A to point B, because our service area is so big, they know that in this drawer is that, this drawer is that, how to use it. But in addition, and something that most people don't think about, the bans that have happened in these states mean that people that are in medical school or OBGYN training or family medicine training, those states can no longer allow those providers to be trained how to save a woman's life in case they're in a rural state and they're miscarrying. And so we also are getting a ton of folks from other states because they may have to provide this service if a patient is in front of them dying. They need to know how to do it. And we have generations right now that know how to do it, but in a few generations of this kind of chaos and horrific things that are happening, they may not know. So we're providing additional providers also. Can you go to the next slide? So this just talks about our charitable trust that we started. And as I said, we have also started a new, you can go to the next slide. We've also started a comprehensive campaign. And if you go to the next slide. So we also, that affiliate that was in Rocky Mountain that covered Las Vegas that I was talking about, we've been in Nevada for about 50 years. We, as of April 1st, we're opening our first health center in Nevada, and we essentially took over those 4 counties in Las Vegas because they didn't have the time, energy, or resources to help really fully support care in that area. So we now cover the entire state of Nevada with Planned Parenthood Vermonte. And it will have all the services that we provide. They had gotten so it was really limited in what was available there. Next slide. And so what can you do? Speak out. Really talk about what you stand for, what your values are. Donate money. I mean, we're your local affiliate, so of course I have to ask you to do that. But give to organizations that you know have lost their funding and need resources. For us, we have gone our charitable care line, because of just the loss of Roe, has gone up by about $5 million, and that's a line we're at about almost 18 million right now. It's stuff that we don't get covered or reimbursed for care that we fundraise for, just for our affiliates, so you know that this is happening all over the country. I wanted just to remind you again what we said, that we saw 323,000 folks. About 300, and this was from last year, so our numbers have grown this year, and we're just continuing to grow. We also, our education programs, which are very important, have also grown. When COVID hit, which seems like such a long time ago now, when COVID hit, we were seeing about 70,000 participants in our education programs. We went digital, we offer in multiple language, and this year we had about 160,000 people in our education programs, which we also share those programs with other affiliates across the country. And then I have a video, but I do not think it will show on this. We'll see. Can you go to the next? I'm not sure if that video will show for you. I will send these slides out so you can see it. What we did with this video is in September of last year, we did a video, full win, full loss. We hoped we never had to share this, but this is the full loss video that we sent out to donors that really talks about all the things that could happen. And even then people were like, God, I just don't think this is going to happen. Well, we are here now and it is happening and it is horrible. So I just want to open it up to any questions you have, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be here today. Thanks. Okay. Yeah.
Can you just talk a little bit about the relationship between the national Planned Parenthood organization and the affiliates?
Yes. So
especially in regards
in light
to
of the New York Times article. Yeah. So we are a federated organization. So we have a national office, and the national office, as affiliates, we pay dues to the national office so that we can keep the Planned Parenthood brand. They really help with legal issues across the country, which you can imagine are huge right now in every state. They protect the brand, and they also help us with different projects, but they mostly, the dollars, like when you give online to us, we get a percentage of those dollars to be able to provide care in our service area.
Do you? Okay. Would the federal government make it illegal to donate to Planned Parenthood?
Well, this is something, yes, thank you for asking it. This is a question that we have thought about, that they're going to make tax deductible organizations that provide health care, that they're going to try to take away our tax status. This is one of the reasons that we started. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm a mom, so I have an outside voice anyways. This is one of the other reasons we started the charitable trust. It doesn't have our name on it, so that people can donate to that. And then if that happens, we are also prepared to have a different name. We're prepared to divide Planned Parenthood Marmonte into two: the organization that provides abortion care and gender affirming care, and another 501c3 that provides all primary care and all the sexual reproductive health. So we've had to do all this kind of scenario planning. So thank you for that question. It is something that's out there.
Okay, I couldn't 30 years ago remember all the pertinent facts that you have given us.
Yes.
And the problem is that what's happening now is beyond people's imagination of what can happen. And somehow we need to make fathers and mothers and grandmothers realize that this could happen to their child.
Yes.
And, I got my tubes tied right away. I took no chances when I was done. Done. Okay. Where can we get this information of these unbelievable things that are happening? Because even the best news stations.
So I'm gonna give, Gwen will have the slides. We also, on this slide, there was a Fight Back site on there, and it has all the information in there that you can go and see. And it is overwhelming. But I did want to point out that we also do vasectomies, just in case you wanted to know that.
I want to get a copy of that video.
Yeah,
that you didn't think you'd ever have to show.
Yeah, but it is, it's so much information, so we're trying to make it easier with a site that has all that information. If you ever want really good data across the entire country, Alan Guttmacher has the best reproductive health information across the country. It's still up and going because they don't get federal dollars. Yes. It's Alan Guttmacher. They have really good resources and up-to-date information about what's happening all across the country.
Hi, welcome. Welcome
Thank
to
you.
Fremont. Years ago, I remember seeing in my mom's mail from Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
Oh, how old I am and how long ago that was. This better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Years ago, I had seen mail from Planned Parenthood in my mom's mail. Due to my own financial things, I have given up giving to National, which I gave to for years and years, and I have now switched to your organization.
Thank you.
The other question is, do you have security?
Yes.
You.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting question. My mom worries about that all the time. So yes, my security guy actually knows I'm here today. He looked at the site. He gave me information in case something happened in this building where I needed to go. If I'm presenting in at a rally, which I do not want my providers presenting at, they are there. I'm actually going from here to New York, and I'm having brunch in the morning. The last time I was in New York, the United Healthcare person got killed. So my security guy knows where I'm going for brunch, and he knows where I'm going to be. He also, I have allowed him to track my phone. So he tracks my phone, as does two other people in my organization. So they know where I am. And if I don't respond, then there's somebody tracks that too. But we do have security at every one of our buildings also, because it's not just about me. Every one of our building has security. We have bulletproof glass, and we have Kevlar or steel under the desks. People cannot get back into the health center if somebody gets in the front. We also provide for anybody that wants it in our affiliate, but all of our providers, we have made it so you can't find out where they live on social and track their social media. So we do, it's a special layer of protection that we do. And the reason this is important is we don't allow our staff to use TikTok for a variety of reasons. We don't think it's safe, but I'll give you an example. We had a staffer, an educator, that put some stuff up on TikTok. Even though she didn't say she worked at Planned Parenthood, Fox News tracked her down. She ended up ultimately getting death threats. They also posted her home address. She had to move. She got death threats. So we take threats very seriously. So
I'd like to let you know that before this meeting here, we did contact the Fremont Police Department and let them know about this this program today, just as a precaution.
Yeah.
I just wanted to thank you for being here. I want to thank
you.
I'm grateful for you, your staff, locally, nationally. I'm a parent of 3 now adult children who are all of reproductive age, and I'm terrified for them. My oldest is transgender, terrified for them. I'm a school board trustee fighting my own battles, trying to protect our immigrant students, our LGBTQ students, and it feels overwhelming right now. I sat doom spiraling for more than a month before I could branch out and start reconnecting with people who I know are in the fight. And something that resonates with me, and I forget who said it, but don't agonize, organize.
Yep.
I think we all have to find ways to protect each other, defend each other, and also engage in some sort of self-care, which is really, really difficult right now. But I'm so grateful for the work that you do. I'm going to start donating locally as well as nationally. I'm very interested. Is there information on the website about the other organization?
Yes, the charitable trust
Okay.
is just going up, so thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm really glad that you brought up school boards. I'm here doing my 501c3, so my blue hat, but I want to, since you commented about school boards, I'm going to put my pink hat on, which is my 501c4, just for a second, because when I got here, we were endorsing 30 candidates a year. We endorsed 204 in the last election cycle, because we know school boards are being invaded by MAGA candidates, and they don't always speak out until they get on there. But we know we've had places where we couldn't get a health center because the city council, and in one of our sites, we now have 3 endorsed candidates serving on that city council. So not only speak out, make sure people get elected, but serve if you can, because this is not normal. This is horrible, and we have to do what we can to take our country and our world back. So thank you.
Other questions?
I was on Planned Parenthood Golden Gate years ago and loved it.
Yeah.
Best thing I ever did. I'm really happy we have so many people here today, and God bless you all for being here. But we are postmenopausal women.
Yeah.
Where are the young people? They really need to be here. We remember what it was like pre-Roe. I remember going to New York with a friend of mine when New York was the only place where you could get an abortion. And, it was awful. It was an awful time, and I don't want to go back to that. We're good here in California for now. For now. But the younger people are going to graduate from college, graduate from high school. They're going to move out of California, or they're in for a rude awakening, and I think we really need to prepare them. And one question, are you still doing clinic defense?
We're doing some of that. We, of course, what happened, we call them escorts, what happened with COVID is we really stopped that, and we really transitioned and changed how we did a lot of things, but we're just getting We're just getting folks back to help work and volunteer. It's a process. If you want to volunteer, you have to, we like do a background check on everyone. But like this week we had, and I'll just give you because we have interesting lives. The main protester in San Mateo, which was this guy and his daughter, he sent us a letter that he was retiring and he's no longer protesting. And I was like, okay, so he's not showing up anymore. We had to pass a city ordinance there because of the things, but we still have volunteers going and protesting. But I do want to give you hope. Young people are activated, they are involved, they are seeing what happens. We have what we call Gen Actions. There are groups at every college that we can across our service area, and they're available across the country. They are getting activated. I think this last election, there was a whole variety of things that we're going to have to be smarter about social media. We're going to have to be smarter about podcasts. We're going to have to be smarter about a variety of things. But I actually think like people are not going to college in places that have bans. People are not going to work in places that have bans. So I think even though it will I think some of this is going to change because it's going to eventually hit the economics of that state and those states. It's not going to be about the fact that women and babies are dying. It's going to be more about, sadly, about economics. But whatever it is, we need to do it. But I try not to go to places that are banned states. It's getting harder. And try not to, use folks that are really supporting this current administration. So it's getting harder, but they are getting united. They are seeing when we knocked on doors in Reno about question 6, which was to protect abortion in the state constitution. And who mentioned about men when we had to go in front of a judge because they questioned the language, and it was protecting abortion and birth control, and it had vasectomies. And he said, I don't understand why vasectomies are on here and what they have to do with birth control. And our lawyer was like, who is a pretty snarky dude, it was like, I just wanted to stand around and say, so which guy got a vasectomy for any other reason? But so good to know it is not protected in Nevada. But I don't think they're going to go after it, but just so you know that. So. Yeah.
Is Planned Parenthood working on with the media? I mean, the media is under threat too. Everything's under threat.
Everything's under threat.
But on getting the information you've shared today, which I think, you think you're informed, and then you go, oh my gosh, even more, getting all this information out to the public.
Yes, we work on it every day. I have a really, just my affiliate, but statewide, there are 7 affiliates in California, so we have a statewide office here that involves all 7. So we work on it every day to make sure people know the truth and they understand what's happening. But it's hard. Like even today, I'm sure there are some people in the audience that thought, oh, Planned Parenthood does more than abortions. It's so to demystify and bust those myths is really hard. But we are on social media, we are sharing information, we're trying to get information out. And right now it is overwhelming. Literally, as I was coming here, I was getting an update on what could happen with Comstock on Monday. So, yeah. Yeah. So that does get shared. Texas had 6 women, file a case against Texas. It really, we can't share our patient stories because of HIPAA, and we're not going to. So patients have to be willing to stand up and share those stories. And so it is happening. It's happened in Atlanta, it happened in Texas, it's happened in Idaho, because they're literally life-flighting people out of the state to get care in Idaho. So it is happening. But we have to be careful not to share a patient's information.
Do you have information about Southern California that you can share with us? I have children in college down there who need to know all of this, and I noticed from your map that Marmonte wasn't involved there.
So there are 7 affiliates that cover the state of California. There used to be like 55. We've done a lot of mergers. When I started, there were 157 affiliates. Now there's 49. So in Southern California, there's an affiliate that covers LA, affiliate that covers Riverside, Pasadena, Orange County, and San Diego, and also Santa Barbara. So, and all this information is on a website, and every place has their own website, and all that information is there for them to see.
Hi, my name's Valerie, and I work with our youth group here with the League of Women Voters called the Youth Voter Movement.
Oh, nice.
And Vikram is one of our young
Hello.
men who is getting our students involved. But I want to tell all of you, if you don't know the statistics that you've just heard, shame on you. Steve Bannon said it years ago. We are going to flood them, and every day there is going to be something happening, and they are going to be so overwhelmed. And they is us. They are going to be so overwhelmed they won't know what to do. Every statistic, thank you. I've been one of your supporters and National Planned Parenthood for years. Back in the old days, I drove women from Nevada to California to have abortions because abortion was illegal in Nevada. I got mine once we changed that in Nevada. This is our country, and if we don't act, they will take it over. We are in a constitutional crisis, folks. It is not coming. We are there now. So every bit of information that you've been offered here today, take it and then do something. Share it with people. You can go on Indivisible's website and see local actions. You can work with Planned Parenthood, Marmonte. Do something.
I have a question.
Yes.
You mentioned that one of the services of Planned Parenthood is education.
Yes.
Could you explain what you do in the education mode?
Yes, we have probably the biggest education program. So prior to COVID, we would go in, and in California, it is law that they get comprehensive sex education with not only information about birth control, but also how to protect yourself and understand your personal rights. So we have programs for teen moms and dads. We have programs to help prevent that next unplanned pregnancy, but also to offer support. The greatest the time for a teen to get pregnant again is within the first 18 months. So we want to make sure that changes. We also have parent-child programs. So if you want to go to a program with your teen and understand comprehensive sex education, we also do programs in senior citizen centers because there's a huge increase, as I said, in syphilis that people didn't know could happen. And then we have a lot of online training. We have training, digital Planned Parenthood. So now that we can be not just in the places where we have health centers, we have online training that goes out through the schools. So I'll have a digital learner on at the schools, and we help the schools provide the comprehensive sex education throughout our whole service area. We also have offered a program that was youth-led. We started a game in Spanish, a comprehensive sex education game, so they can go through and they find their rights. It's for really 9th through 12th grade. We also do educational programs for all colleges within our service area, so that they know, so that they have access to emergency contraception. So we have a whole wide range. And because we're in California and Nevada, we offer our programs in multiple languages, which is really important. And not only multiple languages, but so that they're culturally appropriate for the communities that we're serving.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions?
Hi, Stacy.
Hi.
Do you have any sense in the states that have bans on abortion, the numbers of abortions that have been driven underground or are self-administered?
Well, that's hard to really track. And actually, because of medication abortion, it's so much safer. So there are websites like Hey Jane and several others that you can go on a site and you can have medication abortion sent to your house. So even what we call underground abortions in banned states, it's significantly safer because they have access to medication. So it's hard for us to track because they don't keep the data, and we actually would never want to keep that data. We're really careful about cleaning up anything that could be used to cause harm. But those states, so they have access to that. And many states are using that. Planned Parenthood cannot mail into a state that's banned because we are under a microscope. We provide more services. Our number one issue is to provide contraceptive, get people contracepting to prevent unplanned pregnancies. But because of who we are, we do provide a large number of abortions. But we have to be really careful because we're under the microscope in in the center of the bullseye, so to speak, with providers and with the government. So we have to be really careful about that. But it is way safer. Also, it's safe and legal in Mexico. So it used to be people went to Mexico when it wasn't legal here, but it's now safe and legal in Mexico. So people fly here, drive here. As I said, they frequently don't make an appointment. But because we have access to medication abortion, it has made that much safer. And there's all kinds of videos on how to take it, what to do with it.
So maybe you said earlier and I missed it, but is there something happening on Monday with the Comstock?
I just got an alert about it, so they might be pushing it on Monday, but they do a lot of these to, part of what's happening is to keep us in a chaotic state. So we're prepared. I just got an alert about it. So the first thing they'll do is go after medication abortion, and we are prepared and ready for that.
Does Planned Parenthood have
I'm sorry, what? He can do it by executive order. Yes, he can also do it by the vote of Congress. So, yeah.
Does Planned Parenthood have a fund for people that want to come that can't get an abortion in their own state? Do they have a fund for people to travel?
Yes. So we have what's called justice funds, and justice funds are donated by what we call our very large anonymous donor, Buffett. So he gives money. It's all out there, so it's not like, I don't know why we even call him that anymore. But it's funds that a patient can get to help them with driving, with a variety of things. We in California, and this is something I really talked to when we had a head of HSS that understood healthcare. I talked to him about this, Becerra, because of rules with hospitals, we get so much Medicaid funding here in California, we have to be really careful not to offer to pay or entice anybody with travel, because it could be perceived that we could lose our federal funding as a result. So after a patient gets here, and if they schedule, they can get the justice funds. After they get here, we can give them gas cards. We have patient showed up a few weeks ago with 2 kids in tow. The person didn't have car seats. Our staff went out, got them car seats so they could drive home safely. But every step has something we have to figure out. We try not to, we don't track, we know where patients come from, but we want to be really careful about keeping them safe when they go back too. It's all amazingly complicated right now.
Hi, I know we want to do something,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's the biggest thing right now. We're spread in so many different directions.
Mm-hmm.
Protests. People are emailing their congressman. But none of that seems to be really helping. What do we do?
Well, I wish I had the answer, honestly, but I think that's what you have to do. You have to do what you know you can do. One, when somebody said constitutional crisis, obviously it's a coup. It's a constitutional crisis right now. And we need to speak out. We need to speak to friends. Like, talk to people in the grocery line about what's happening, because I gave my board, I have buttons made, this is not my president, that really opens up a conversation. But really, and then we have, like, we know we have some elections, special elections coming up, putting a pink cap on. I don't know if we can get those, but you know, we're only one vote away in the House. I mean, we got to win that. I don't know if we'll get the Senate, but we have to speak out. We have to keep calling our members of Congress, and when they show up here for town halls, whether it's an R and a D, go and tell them what you think. But that's really what we need to do, and also help support different organizations that are providing support. Because it's, I have, giving an example, I have a donor that has a transgendered adolescent, and it's a big donor, and she said, I'm sorry, I cannot give this year because her daughter's provider works at a hospital that they're worried about federal funding. So she took all of her resources of what she was going to give to any organization and is supporting this person's salary for the next 2 years. Oh, I'm sorry. So, I mean, it's just, I mean, we can't all do that, but so that her daughter continues to get care while it's possible. It is overwhelming, but pick something. You can't do everything. It would be a scatter shot. So pick something that really matters to you, that you value, and work on that. That's what I would suggest that you do. I know I'm giving to every candidate in these special elections because I want them to win.
Especially school board.
We're still 47 months away from being on the other side of this. Yeah, not that I'm counting that.
And I think this is also a question for the league, is whether we and other organizations can convene possibly, you know, organizational persons in order to act in a more coordinated manner.
Mm-hmm.
Whether, you know, like today was 3 organizations, maybe expand that and increase the reach and basically coordinate our efforts with other organizations that are being impacted, other groups that are being, you know, impacted, so that we maybe focus what we need to do more, rather than the scatter shots.
No, I think that's a great idea. When I was in Portland in 2016, and we had a big Muslim population there, and I invited all organizations to my headquarters. We planned and activated housing, food, and we also had the ACLU there. We had attorneys show up at every airport. But it is important that, because we are divided with a lot of different organizations, now is the time to really unite together and focus on the enemy that is in front of us so that we still have a country at the end of this. Yeah.
Other questions? I have one.
Yes.
Do you take volunteers at Planned Parenthood, and if so, in what capacity?
We take a variety of volunteers. If you go to our website, tap on the volunteer website, link to there. As I said, they do a full background check, and then they find out what you might be interested in doing. So we have, when we have events, people help with events. We are doing some patient, we are doing some patient escorts back again. So we activate people, but we also activate for other people. I met with last week. They're out of Oakland. It's a really small trans organization, and she's going into a community to testify on something. And she goes, "I'm one person." I said, "You are not one person. We are a tribe." And so I sent a lot of folks backing her up to support her when she was testifying. And we have to do this. We really, this is not normal, and everyone should be frightened as hell and just like afraid for our country and our world. And we have to do whatever we can to support and protect each other. And you mentioned about self-care. I preach that a lot for my staff, because I do an all-staff call, and it's very hard to do right now. Yeah, I have a busy week this week, and I just wrote on the way here, I have to take part of Wednesday off because I'm working all weekend, and so I need that before things. And I know folks, there's not a day off right now, and there might not be. It's just we have to We have to have some moments of bliss and have moments of joy, and then get right back into the fight.
Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you.
On that note, we're so grateful that you came to speak with us today in Fremont, and your message is good, and we're going to organize, right? We're going to organize.
And reach out and let us know how we can help with that. Yes.
Okay. I want to let you know that the League of Women Voters, as well as AAUW, has had long-standing positions on reproductive freedom, and we're really proud of that. So thank you for speaking with us, and we have a little thank you gift for you.
Thank you very much. All right. Thanks. Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So before you leave, okay. Before you leave, I want to let you know that the Niles Discovery Church has very generously invited all the attendees here today to gather in the fellowship hall. It's out the back door and all the way down the hall to the right for coffee and cookies. And I took a look in there, and the cookies look fabulous. And also, I want to let you know on your way out that both organizations have a literature table. On the League of Women Voters table, you'll find something that we've never had before, and it is a donation box. Please consider making a donation to the League to help support the speaker series, which we present to the community regularly right here in the Niles Discovery Church. It is costing us some money to do these things, and we would appreciate any help you can give us. Thank you very much.